What's going on, everyone? This is part 2 of my conversation with a good friend of mine, fellow YouTuber Ryan Williams AFC. His links to the description of his channel are in the description below. His YouTube channel, Ryan Williams AFC, and his Twitter is RJ Wills. It's all, like I said, in the description below. So go check him out. Go make sure you obviously follow him as well. And on his YouTube journey as well. Subscribe to the channel, like mine, hit notification bell every time I upload a video. You'll be notified. This part 2 of the conversation is basically going to be regarding all transfers. Saga, the whole transfer scenario for the summer transfer window. We look deep into different positions we're looking for. So right back, centre back, central midfielder, attacking midfielder, and a striker. Honourable mentions for the left back position, also goalkeeper. But those are the main positions that we looked at in terms of who we think we need, the statistical analysis behind them all, and ultimately who we'd go for out of the 5 different positions. So stay tuned for that. Listen, let's get into it. I put together a compilation of positions that Arsenal should look for, and what kind of players we can look at. The chances are we're going to sign 2 out of the 5 players that I've mentioned. And they're probably not even going to be the first, second, or third choice. It'll be the same summer that we tried to sign Lacazette in the summer, who it was, and we ended up with Lucas Perez. Even though every person in the world told Wenger don't go for him because he's terrible, and Wenger still went for him. It's going to be like that.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just deviate slightly into the summer transfer business because, these are the positions I think we should aim to go for. And obviously you can add in your own who you think we should go for. But I've said a right back, centre back, central midfielder, attacking midfielder, because obviously remember Odegaard's only on loan, and a striker for our summer transfer business. And obviously the goalkeeper side of things, I have a feeling we'll end up with Matt Ryan, and that's not a bad number 2 option. Yeah, I'm pretty okay with that. But for the other 5 positions I mentioned, do you think that's okay, or do you have any other positions where you think we should strengthen?
Left backs for 1. I think that is.
Yeah.
As the right back. I mean, Lord. So what would So you said centre back, right back, centre midfielder, centre attacking midfielder, and
striker. Striker. Only because I feel like we've got so much in the wide options, and unless we sell Reece Nelson, but I think Nketiah will go. I have a feeling. Well, Balogun ain't signed a contract, so they've already gone.
Tyrese Jones as well. He's still out on loan.
You know what? I think he will go back on loan. I have a feeling he'll go back out on loan. And I wouldn't be. Listen, I'd happily send him out on loan to a top-level Championship club or a Premiership club next season. Even if he doesn't play a lot of games, even if he doesn't play many games, being in and amongst a Premier League first-team squad ain't going to be a bad thing for you in the slightest. And if you're that kind of guy where, listen, you're losing 1-0 and we've exhausted all of our options on the substitute bench, and we're going to say, all right, look, kid, just jump on, just run around. We need you to do your game. Just play your game how it is. If you score, you score. If you don't, you don't. I just want you to put some pressure on their defenders. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes on and scores. Then it kind of boosts that confidence level, doesn't it? But we have got a lot of striking options. I agree with you. But I just think that, like I said, I can't settle anymore for Lacazette being a hit and miss kind of guy. I really can't. And I can't settle with, if we're not going to play Aubameyang through the middle, get somebody who you're going to trust to play every game. Listen, as much as I don't like to credit Tottenham, but no, listen, Harry Kane's got a 7-week injury. Man's back after 1 week because they've injected him with all sorts and he still plays on. And as much as I'm saying to myself, I don't really want us to do that with our players. I don't want us to cause even more injury. We need to have a player that we can rely on to get you a 9 out of 10 every game up front, not a 10 out of 10 against West Ham and then a 0 out of 10 against Liverpool. I just can't have that.
No,
we can't be that team. We can't be that team that does that.
No.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. Hopefully this works. And I'm going to share the entire screen. No, I'm not. I'm going to share. What am I going to do? I'm going to share the entire screen. Hopefully this works. Tell me if it does work. Yes, it is working. All right, cool.
Yes, there we go.
So the right back options. These are the players that we've been linked with, and obviously you can see Hector Bellerin at the front there is the main person. So this is basically stats off of footballcritic.com. So we've got Bellerin, we've got Emerson Royal from Real Betis, who in recent weeks has gathered a little bit of pace in terms of players linked with us. Max Aarons, Tariq Lamptey, I put in there 11 appearances because obviously he got injured at the start of the season. And then Ashraf Hakimi, who he does play as a right wing back, but, can he be included as a right back? Who knows? So to start off with, we've got obviously the general overlay of their players. So goals, assists, yellow card, red card, man of the match. In terms of goals, you can see obviously everything labelled in green is who's leading. So goals and assists, Hakimi leads that, apart from with the assists, Emerson Royal has 4 assists this season. So from a right back position, Emerson Royal is not doing that bad considering compared to somebody like Bellerin or compared to somebody like Lamptey and Max Aarons, who have 1 and 0 compared to the other two. Obviously, yellow cards, red cards, it's not a competition of who gets red cards and yellow cards, but Lamptey seems to be the most disciplined in terms of yellow cards. But then over an average of 11 appearances, it's potentially he gets more in that situation. And then man of the match awards, Emerson Royal as a right back. I mean, you can see he got 5 man of the matches compared to the rest of them. The rest of them have 1 and 2 between them. So then we go down to the passing statistics. So per 90, how much completions, final third entries, and then long balls. And Emerson Royal seems to be the man who overall has the best ability. So 48.9 passes per game, which is 2 more than Bellerin. Completion rate, Bellerin has the most completion, but Emerson Royal is 2% behind him. The final third entries is the one that surprised me. 17.1 passes into the final third. Now, somebody alluded to me the other day, this could be sideways passes. But when you look at his assists and how many assists he get, you look at maybe he's actually a player that gets down the touchline and down the byline and maybe takes those deep crosses in early on, which is good. The defending side of things, I mean, look, Emerson gets 1 in 2 basically. He gets every tackle he gets, he or every 2 tackles he makes, he wins 1 of them. But the short span of how many tackles per attempted and 1 per 90, Hakimi's just about there with a 0.5 differential. Aerials and duels. Again, the aerial side of things, Tariq Lamptey seems to be the one that wins it, but at the end of the day, Tariq Lamptey's like 2 foot nothing, so you can't really put a lot on it. And then clearances, again, Emerson wins that. He's made 2.4 clearances per game, roughly. The next person down from him is Max Aarons, who averages 1.8 clearances per game. And then the errors side of things. So obviously, it seems Bellerin, Aarons, and Hakimi have not made any errors leading to a goal-scoring opportunity. Thankfully, all of them have not made a single error that led to a goal. The possession loss. Now, this is an interesting stat. Hector Bellerin leads that in the amount of times he loses out on possession, which is only 12. He's only lost out on possession. He roughly averages 12 possession losses per 90. And then disruption side of it. So interceptions, recoveries, and touches, Emerson leads the way in all of them, which is a very interesting stat in terms of how busy he is and how switched on he is in his awareness in his game. Creation, obviously, like I said at the start, Hakimi plays the right wing back, so naturally it looks like he'd be getting down the touchline a lot more than the rest. But Emerson is 2 behind him, so per 90 he averages in terms of this season he's averaged 5 big chances. Dribbles per 90, Lamptey and Aarons lead the way, and then crosses per 90, Lamptey averages 3.6 crosses per 90. No, sorry, I lied. It's actually Hakimi. Sorry, that averages 4. But again, it's the sort of referencing the right wing back situation. It will always get more opportunity down the right hand side because he's a right wing back. And I told you earlier, the diminished responsibility of his defensive side of it will obviously play into that. which how it plays into the attacking side of it. So shots per 90 on target and how many times you get into the box. Hakimi is ahead in all three. But again, that's possibly to do with the fact he's in the right wing back situation or right wing back position. So he'll always get forward as much as possible. But from what I've just put there forward to you, out of the options I've given you, who would be your option to go with going forward? Obviously, we've said that Bellerin needs to be upgraded on. But for me personally, Emerson Royal looks like the overall deciding factor, the overall deciding winner in terms of, his overall game, attacking wise, defensive wise, disruption wise. You know, the lack of errors he makes per game. But listen, come to Arsenal, man, you'll be making 5 errors per game, no problem. And then, I don't know, I'm sorry. But, you know, his overall game seems to be where we can improve on. And I've said it in a few of my videos, but you bring in somebody like that as a right back, or you bring in a right back, say, similar to Kieran Tierney on the left, it opens up the options of Saka and Pepe or whoever plays on that right side so much more. Like if you look at the way Trent plays for Liverpool, and then you look at the way Salah has scored however many goals from an inside forward position, that's because Trent is always down that right-hand side. So Salah doesn't have to be down the right-hand side. But the problem with us at the moment is Pepe or Saka have to stay there because the right back that we have behind them isn't trusted enough to keep bombing up and down. What are your thoughts on what I've just sort of shown you in terms of the right backs?
Well, it's definitely changed my view a little bit because last season I've always wanted Max Aarons, and this season, you know, I've been looking at Tariq Lamptey a little bit. Unfortunately, he got injured, so it kind of comes to a little bit of a halt there. I mean, he's played absolutely fantastic for the times he's got injured. Hakimi, I mean, this is what I've been saying because I even got into an argument with someone yesterday and they got a little bit childish on their end because I said to them, well, if he's good attacking wise, then I want to know about defensiveness because that's always been our problem. I mean, a defensive right back, someone I would like. In the modern game, you kind of need right backs to bomb forward and get back. But they got to have both, you know? Yeah. And Royal, I mean, for me, it's probably our Royal because them stats, they can't be denied. They're very good. And he's a natural right back instead of a right wing back. And as we know, Hakimi, he has played right mid. I'm sure he played right mid when he was at Dortmund on loan.
I think he did.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it only worked if Arteta was playing with a 3 at the back. Yeah. Hakimi makes sense, 100%. You know?
And I only threw in Hakimi just because there's been recent links in terms of Inter's financial situations and potentially we could get him for a cheaper deal. But my only concern with that is then you're having to basically coach Hakimi defensively more so. And as much as I think Trent's a very good right back, his defensive side of his game is questionable.
Yeah.
And I said this to a friend of mine, if he played as a right wing back, he'd be fantastic for England and for Liverpool. But the problem is Liverpool don't want to play with a back 5. And England, if we played with a back 5, I'd go more so with a Reece James and Trent because Reece James has played there more often. So
and he can defend as well, Reece James also. So
so with the likes of Hakimi as a right wing back predominantly, you're then basically having to learn on the job your defensive side of things. And look, if we are to say William Saliba is going to come in at right centre back, you're then basically saying to a young, inexperienced right-sided defender, your job is to make sure he doesn't go too far from me. So if I need you to bring him in. I need you to make him stay in his position. I don't want him to be drifting all the time. And that's a lot to put on a player's shoulders. So going slightly into the centre-back option of the right-sided centre-back, I've also done centre-backs. So, centre-backs. Like I said to you earlier off air, that it seems that there's not a lot of options for the right centre-back that have been muted to us. And as you can see, I've included in William Saliba, James Tarkowski. I read a report about a few days ago that there's potential that Arsenal could try and go for him. Koulibaly, who, listen, unless Napoli go bankrupt, it's impossible, but there's always that thing of Koulibaly's, one of the best centre-backs in the world. Daniel Axel Zagadou from Dortmund, who is currently injured, so I think he's only played 7 or 8 games, so these statistics, for whatever his are green, you've got to take it with a bit of pinch of salt because we can't get an overriding proper statistical view of him. And then David Luiz, who, the reason I put David Luiz in, obviously, his contract's out in the summer, but there's potential that we could offer him another deal. And I'll tell you the reason why or who I've gone for at the end of it. But as you can see from the statistics, I won't go into what I did in the last one where I've gone through every single one, but you can see the greens going through the general side of things. Obviously, David Luiz is the only one that's got a goal, obviously a red card, and the only one who has a man in the match out of all of them. Passing per 90, the completion stat for me is the one that I'm intrigued about. William Saliba completes 90% of his passes, and he averages 67.5% of his passes.
That's insane.
Exactly, and he's played, I think it's, let me just have a quick look at how many games he's played this season, actually, just so I can get like a rough figure.
Definitely between 18.
Yeah, I'm sure it has been, actually. But as you can see with the rest of the passing statistics, if you look at the long balls and the final third entries, David Luiz is the one that leads that way. But then again, and listen, we said it. Yeah, and we referenced it before that David Luiz was missed very much against Liverpool. So this season, William Saliba, so in 17 games William Saliba has played, he still completes 90% of his passes. And obviously, interesting fact today was that he's never been dribbled past since joining Nice. This is just from the Nice website, by the way. He's also won back the ball 99 times. He's in the top 5 in the whole of League One since he went to Nice. Only Anthony Cachi, Bruno Manga, and Ngonda Muzinga have more ball recoveries than William Saliba. And he's also won 22 duels in the air and also on the floor for Nice, which is more than any other Nice player. So since he's gone back to France, since he's gone to Nice, William Saliba seems to be shooing for flipping Defender of the Year, it seems. But if you look at the rest of them, so defending side of it, David Luiz seems to be the one who edges it in terms of tackles attempted and 1 per 90, aerials attempted and 1 per 90. Clearances, it's interesting that William Saliba leads on that side of it. But errors that lead to goal, this is the one that was a little bit shocking, not so much, but errors that lead to goals. So Saliba has made 2 errors that have led to a goal this season since he rejoined Nice. However, the stat then below that, possession lost, he's only lost the ball 8 times. And as a defender, like going along with his 90% pass completion rate, is very, very good. And then for his disruption side, so touches per 90, interceptions and recoveries, Daniel Axel Zagadou seems to be leading the way. But like I said, he's only played 7 games. So the next person down the list in terms of that would be
Koulibaly, right?
Koulibaly in terms of touches per 90. Yeah. Interceptions per 90 would be Saliba. And then recoveries per 90 is also Saliba. So for us to look at a right-sided centre-back, we already have it in William Saliba. And obviously I've referenced his inexperience, but we already have a player like that. And what I was saying a minute ago about David Luiz overall is actually the best centre-back on that list, which we said at the start, he's our best centre-back still at the club, which is really shocking. But my thought process would be, give David Luiz a new 1-year contract and have him there with Saliba, with Gabriel, to help them through. He's not going to play every game, that's fine, but he can play the odd game here or there. But he's also going to be the man to help Saliba and help Gabriel get through the potential hard times or games in which maybe they're struggling a little bit, and then to allow them basically to become the partnership that we're looking at going forward for years to come. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, when I heard about the Luiz, I'll start with David Luiz. With the David Luiz thing, when I heard 1 year extension, but he's going to be in a coaching role as well, I said, all right, fine. I wouldn't mind that much, because as long as he doesn't play that much, unless it's an absolute emergency, and he's actually trying to coach them, then fair enough. Because look, no matter how many mistakes David Luiz had made, which, last season I was absolutely fuming with him. All right, what he has his resume says a lot. It's like Tottenham fans at Mourinho right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, him and Gabriel have pretty much been the best partnership.
Yeah.
This season, like, there's no denying that. So if that's the case, then fine. But again, my only worry is, it's just the experience. Like you said, Saliba looks already made. We just need to test him. That's the only thing. Whether it's going to be with Gabriel or Mari long term, then fine. But also to that, this is the mistake of giving Rob Holding a new deal. It's like, why did we give him a new deal? Yes, I hear the whole give him a little bit more of a value, but I don't know anyone that's going to be paying over 20 mil for Rob Holding. I'm going to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing that kind of worries me. But Saliba, I've always wanted to give Saliba a chance. Everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, look at Fofana. He's getting more of a chance at Leicester. He's been doing well at times, and he has done well at times. You know what I mean?
He has.
And it's injustice for Saliba. But obviously, two different clubs within two different, realms of life at the minute. Leicester trying to build we're doing. So
yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, with the Fofana Saliba links, I want to put a little bit into context for everyone who goes, yeah, but Fofana's been playing. They've had a lot of injuries themselves, and I know Fofana started the season, but Soyuncu was injured, Johnny Evans was injured. Obviously, Wes Morgan is still there, but he's been injured. So you're basically saying, you're basically saying I haven't got a lot of centre backs, and obviously I referenced the 7 centre backs that were ahead of Saliba before even the kick of the ball at the start of the season. Whereas with Leicester, I think they've only had 5 recognised centre backs. They've even had to put Wilfred Ndidi at centre back because of how short they were at times. So as much as Fofana, yeah, he's come in, I have a strange feeling, unless he's astronomically good, yes, Brendan Rodgers probably wouldn't have liked to have used him as much as he has done. The same way in which Arteta hasn't used Saliba. At the end of the day, we always say about foreign players coming into the Premiership, and especially young foreign players at centre-back, it's going to take them a lot of time to get used to the physicality of the Premiership, etc., etc., etc. But like you just said, I want to see Saliba given at least a chance. Just give him a chance. If he doesn't do that, great, fine. But for me personally, I look at Saliba when I've seen him play, sort of his body frame, the way in which he moves the ball, the way in which he does his little tricks on the ball, his turns and shimmies. I look at him and I see John Stones in him. In terms of his... Remember with John Stones at Everton, before he signed for Man City, everyone said what a defender he is, but he takes too long on the ball. He does these little tricks and skills that he doesn't need to in the corner, but he still gets himself out of trouble. There was a clip that went around of Saliba against PSG, I think it was, and everyone went, look at this guy, look how good he is, look how amazing he is, man. Why is he not playing for Arsenal? And for half of that video, it was basically him facing up to an attacker and sort of doing a little drag back to get out of the way of the defender. And a part of me thought to myself, that's probably why Arteta isn't putting him in at the side at the moment, because he wants to maybe get that out of his game in terms of he wants him to be more simple. Get the ball, release it quick, spring an attack up the field. He doesn't maybe want him to dilly-dally on the ball. Look at John Stones this season. He's pretty much eradicated that out of his game. He gets the ball, he releases it to the midfielder or to the right back or to the other centre-back. I think in some respects, that's what Arteta wants from Saliba. Pick the ball up fine, but I want you to release it a lot earlier than you have been doing. But just my reference to Stones and Saliba, if you watch Saliba, the little clips of him, and then you go and watch a Man City game of John Stones, I tell you right now, if the skin colour weren't there, man, they look like the same person. I promise you. And the hair of Saliba, because that is a funky hairstyle, man.
What he likes, isn't it?
100%. So then, moving on to the central midfielders. I'm a little bit conscious of time. I hope you're all right with the longevity of the video, but
yeah, I'm cool, bro.
So the central midfield options I went for.
I hope my options in there. Let me see.
Who's
yes,
your
he
option?
is. Okay.
Okay, so cool. So all right. So this player we've been linked with, and I think there's a few Real Betis players that we've been linked with, mainly because of their financial situation. But Guido Rodriguez earlier this week and a half ago, I think, was linked with Arsenal. Then you've got Ibrahim Sangare, Boubakary Samare, Yves Bissouma, and then a player from Palmeiras, I believe. His name is Patrick De Paulo. And for all Arsenal fans, if you follow the internet guru Eduardo, I want to pronounce his name correctly, Hagen, Hagn. He said this player is a very good player. We should be looking at him. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to include him in there just to see what kind of statistics he holds up against the rest of them. So, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into this one, but for general side of things, goals, assists, Patrick De Paulo leads the way in goals, 3 goals, 1 assist, 2 yellow cards. Man of the Match awards, it's interesting, Boubakary Samara has got that one. Passing side of things, Samare leads the way in per 90. Bissouma leads the way in completion. Obviously, at Brighton, they need to be a passing team. I was quite taken back by the fact that he averages just under 50 passes per game. You know, Boubakary Samare at Toulouse, I think he's at, averages roughly 20 more a game. 20.7 final third entries for a player who is seen as a defensive midfielder. It could be probably said, right? But 20.7 final third balls. And then the long balls is Patrick De Paulo makes around about 6.4 long balls. Again, the long balls are, they could be ones that played over the top or played from deep if he picks the ball up, etc. Tackling per 90, Bissouma leads the way in the duels and clearances. In fairness, he doesn't do too bad in tackles attempted and won and also aerials attempted and won. So overall, Bissouma leads the way in tackles. The error side of things, thankfully, none of them have made an error that leads to a chance or goal. I would hate to think what it would look like if Granit Xhaka's name was there. Possession lost. Possession lost. Yves Bissouma leads the way in that one. He's just under 10. He loses the ball just under 10 times per game. And then the disruption side of things, so touches and interceptions, recoveries. What's his name? Ibrahim Sangare leads the way in that. So he recovers the ball 9 times, but again, it's interesting to see Bissouma recovers the ball 8 times per game, roughly. And then creations, so big chances. Patrick De Paulo has made 2 big chances. Dribbles per 90. Sangare leads the way. Samare leads the way, yeah. and then crosses per 90. I mean, it's under 0.5, so really and truly, it's an invalid stat. Let's be fair. And then attacking wide, so shots on target and blocked per 90. Patrick De Paulo leads the way in terms of all of those. So, in terms of the whole board, in terms of the central midfield option, it seems that the 2 players are up for debate is Yves Bissouma, not Yves Bissouma, sorry, Patrick De Paulo, who we have a very limited statistical analysis of, or Boubakary Samare. I know you like Yves Bissouma, don't you? I'm going to let you just talk a bit. Sorry, somebody's phoning me, which I need to take this phone. So I'll let you have your piece on who you think, the reason who we should buy.
Well, after them stats, I mean, it's kind of hard not to go with Samari. I mean, them stats there look pretty awesome. DePaul looks more of an attacking player. So I'm not sure if we don't sign Martin Odegaard, we can use him in that area. I'm not sure if DePaul would be the perfect player to be alongside Partey and then have a Smith Rowe there, or if we signed Odegaard or have him for another year, he'd be there. So boy, I probably still have to. I probably still would go with Basuma because he's Premier League proven, and that helps. So there's no adaptation time. That's that. Other than the way we're playing, but if he wasn't available, then it'd probably be down to be Samare and DePaul. But again, with the DePaul thing, I think he's more of I think I'm more playing as a number 8 or a number 10. To be honest. So that's just my position.
Yeah, I mean, the annoying thing is, I look at Thomas Partey as a Rodri / I want to say actually, let me do the GOAT, Busquets / Rodri type player, where he can be trusted to play in that position by himself. I don't think Arteta's quite got that just yet with him. Because obviously he seems to want to play somebody alongside him. He doesn't trust anybody else to basically get back enough and help out enough to put alongside him, or at least put it just ahead of him. Not that the Thomas Partey is just a defensive midfielder, mind you, but I still look at him and say, look, if he had like last season when I kept going in the realms of this is who I want us to play, or I want us to sign. If we had say for instance, a Thomas Partey in the middle, the base of your midfield, and then say a Smith Rowe and an Odegaard ahead of him, or a Odegaard and a Husam Aouar ahead of him, where you've got the attacking line, but you've also got someone that you can trust to basically shift across from right to left if you need to. I've always said that I want that. I think I'm growing a little bit more to somebody like Basuma because I've seen him play in the Premiership. I've seen the fact that he's very tight on the ball. He's very, seeing him live is obviously different to looking at the stats game per game. Because obviously it takes let's say a 25 game and then it say, okay, cool, he's made 10 tackles in this game. He's only made 2 in this one. Let's average it out. Yeah. So the specific games that I've seen Basuma play, I've always been impressed with him. And I've always said, look, this is the kind of guy we need. And if we're going to be serious about getting a central midfielder in, he's the kind of player we need to be getting in because, at Arsenal, we're done with basically, like I said before, I like Xhaka, but the fact that every time he comes onto his right foot, he falls over on the ball and gets lost, or, he can't run with the ball. That's the one thing that annoys me with him. Is that he's not mobile, agile enough. He doesn't run with the ball. And that's the moments where you're like, man, imagine every time Partey got the ball, even in the small, 5 or 6 minute space in the Liverpool game where he picked up the ball and beat a couple of players and just ran with it, tried to release Aubameyang. You saw, okay, look, if we can beat that Liverpool press with another player, it's a lot better. So I would probably, even though looking at the stats, I've always liked Samari, and we've been linked with him quite heavily before. I've always liked him, but I would still probably go along with you and say Yves Bissouma would be the one that I would look at and say we should be going in for. So I would agree with you on that one. So last couple of ones are the attacking midfielder and then striker. So we'll do attacking midfielder first. And the options that we have, and I'm not going to be lying to you, man. If you look at the greens, I've just scrolled up and down. There's literally only one winner in this one. But Buendia, Odegaard, Kahanoglu, Grealish, who albeit has played out on the left, and Husam Aouar, who is kind of like a number 8/10. But if I just scroll down slightly, you can see where the majority of the greens go.
Yeah.
Down that first column.
A lot of people be hating her because I remember all the talk in the summer. Why would we go for him? This, that, and the third, and the money that Norwich want for him. You can kind of see why.
Listen, he's playing predominantly as a right-sided midfielder, similar to how Emile Smith-Rowe has been playing on the left-hand side. So again, it's not that it doesn't work. And like I said before, if you have this goes back into my right back question as well. If you have a right back that can allow your right right midfielder to move inside and to affect the play from an inside angle, you are basically assisting in another role, not just your own, but another position to help with. But I mean, look, goals and assists. He's got 11 goals, 11 assists. The next person on that list with 6 goals is Grealish, and then 10 assists. But again, he's played out on the left, and he's not a player that tracks back, by the way, let's be honest. Passing side of it, with Odegaard's stats are based on his Arsenal performances, and which has only been about 8, I think. So 91% pass completion rate, fine. The next person on that list is Alba with 85%. Interestingly, Buendia is the lowest on that with 78%, but his final third entries and his long balls, to me anyway, it shows that he's a bit more adventurous with his passing and he tries a bit more in terms of creation. And it goes down. So obviously his defending stats, Grealish, well, I just said he doesn't track back, but Grealish seems to be the man who wins the aerial and at least the dual side of things, maybe in terms of being fouled, etc. Clearances when Dia's in there, which does that show to me that he's a bit more defensively aware and that he gets back a lot more than is to help out. Possession lost 20 times for Buendia, and again, it probably highlights a bit more in his adventurous side of his game in terms of his passing, but his disruption, so touches, interceptions, and recoveries per 90, Buendia leads the way in all of them. Big chances created. Look at that. He's created 18 big chances this season. Grealish is next on that list with 14. Dribbles per 90. Grealish obviously leads the way with 2.6. And then you've got Alba with 2.1, but third on that list is Buendia with 1.6. And then crosses per 90. Çalhanoğlu leads the way with 8.2, but behind him is Buendia with 5.2. Attacking wise, Alba leads the way in terms of how many shots he has per game on target and blocked. But then again, Buendia averages just under 3 shots per game, 1 on target, 1 blocked. And the decisiveness, how decisive he is, first goal, decisive goal is both Buendia. So it just goes to show that he is a player that gets forward a lot and he tries to aid his team a lot more. Thoughts on the attacking midfield side of it? Obviously, Buendia, like I said, he plays more on the right. Grealish is more out on the left. But the talk around Buendia and the talk around us linked with him is that he would play as an attacking midfielder. And, you know yourself, but the season before when they were in the Premiership, I think he was second or third on the list with chances created behind Grealish and De Bruyne. So in the Premiership, he can definitely play amongst the big boys.
Exactly, and this is the thing. I mean, I've said this I've gone on record and I've said this. I mean, look, I like Jack Grealish a lot, right? But the fact of the matter is, I can't see Arsenal paying the big bucks for him.
No, neither can I.
And it's not saying, we have to, that's you're just thinking negative. And it's not. I'm not thinking negative. I'm being realistic. Yeah. Exactly. Arsenal ain't spending over 100 because it's going to cost over 100 mil to Aston Villa. And
of course, it is.
Villa will come. He'll come. Grealish will come because if you're paying big money, this, that, and the third, players will come. What? I'm sorry. It doesn't matter like that because if that's the case, Vardy would have came to Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
He turned us down, and do you know what I mean? And we know Arsenal love to pay players big money wages, and they don't do shit. We've seen it.
And Wenger even came out on record and said, "I offered Vardy a lot of money."
Right, and this is the thing. Let's look at the teams we grew up watching Arsenal. Like, look, Henry didn't even cost that much. Perez, Vieira, all those players didn't really cost that much.
Yeah,
the ones that Wenger bring in anyway, they didn't cost that much, and they went on to become legends. So,
yeah,
and of course, football's different now. Excuse me, but you can still buy players for a good amount of fee and coach, and they'll progress to do one better. And this is the thing. I think our problem is, I think some of the fan base is a little bit spoiled. I'm thinking, we should go and spend this amount of money, this, that. And don't get me wrong, I'd like to bring in quality players. However, I know this club ain't going to do it.
No,
so
exactly.
When you know a club's not going to do something, you have to be real with yourself and be like, well, they're not going to do it.
No,
So the more
exactly.
we cast, Arsenal, you're so cheapskates. Yeah, they are cheapskates.
100%.
They are cheapskates.
Yeah.
They always have been cheapskates.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Aubameyang didn't cost a lot. He cost 50 mil.
Yeah.
Lacazette, same fee.
Yeah.
You know? How much did Sanchez cost? People forget. How much did Ozil cost? People forget.
Ozil was 42 and a half. Sanchez was 35.
And this is the thing. Like, Pepe is our highest transfer fee. And we know Pepe is not £72 million. There's a lot of fraudulence within that.
There was a lot of backhanded dealings with Don Raul and stuff. And
this is what I'm saying. So, if you expect Arsenal to spend 50 million on top of what Pepe's fee, because you're looking at Grealish for over 100 mil.
Of course, you are.
Villa will gladly, you know, I know it's COVID and that, but Villa will not be. They'll want more than 80 mil. You know that.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me, I mean, them stats don't lie. I personally would like to give Odegaard another go. To be honest with you, you know, for me. It's out of Odegaard, Buendia, and Grealish. But if I had to,
the thing is, I'm not gonna lie to you. I put Grealish in there because he's a player I want. That's the thing.
Yeah.
More so than I think it's realistic. A part of me, obviously, I love Odegaard. I think he's a very good player. I think he's, you know, he's definitely a player that can only improve. He's 22, for goodness sake. You know, last time I was all in for Alwa. I was so much ready for this guy to come into this football club and be, like, he's the man I want. Now I'm like, his stats compared to the others, I'm like, nah, maybe not. You know, especially given the likes of Grealish and even Buendia, and you know, a lot of Arsenal fans I've even had problems with. They're like, but you're signing a player from the Championship. He's a Championship player. I'm like, yeah, cool. But so was Andy Robertson when Liverpool signed him. So was Jorginho Wijnaldum. He'd just been relegated with Newcastle. So was Jordan Henderson. He'd just been relegated with Liverpool. I'm sorry, where are they now?
Chris, let me give you the best thing. Where did, barring Tony Adams, where did all that legendary back four come from?
Exactly.
The lower sides. George Graham looked in the local papers and saw where they came from. Stoke. Steve Bold came from Stoke. Nigel
Dixon came from Stoke.
Right. This is what I'm saying. and this is what I'm saying about the snobbery of the fan base. So don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's not. I don't want all these glamorous players as well. But when you know your club, don't spend the type of money that you would like. This is the real. I want Wan-Bissaka before Man United got him. I wanted Wan-Bissaka. Regardless, the guy one-on-one defense is ridiculous. But he's gone to Manchester United, so you have to think elsewhere now.
100%. And that's a £50 million for a right back who we couldn't put £50 million into a right back. We barely put £50 million into a centre midfielder.
Right. And look how long it took to get.
And you know the thing is, exactly. And the thing is as well, like with the likes of Arsenal paying over the top for players, and listen, if we have to go through X amount of years of buying mediocre Championship players, but are very good, by the way, and can help. Like, listen, Norwich are 8 points ahead at the top of the table. They're going to come up this summer. So signing Buendia is not even going to be an easy task. So just us just talking now and saying, let's sign Buendia, we'll probably have more luck trying to sign Alwa, if I'm honest. But
that's because the French that's because of the French league and
exactly
how much problems that's going on and all. Yeah.
So, but signing a player like Buendia. Listen, I even had a look at Todd Cantwell, who's also at Norwich. We've had a look at Max Aarons. These are all players who are playing in the Championship who, let's be fair, can probably improve us a lot in terms of the way we play football. You look at Michael Elise from Reading, there's talk about him going to Bayern Munich. He's a Championship player, but I'm sorry, he's not allowed to go to a big club because he's a Championship player. People, especially Arsenal fans, I'd rather us build a team of 11 very, very, very good players than 10 or 9 good players and 2 world-class players, because look what that got us. It didn't get us a lot. It didn't get us a long way. No. And, you know, when we had the Invincible team, we had 11 very, very good players, or 9 very, very good players with 2 world-class players in, 3 in Henry, Vieira, Yeah, Henri, Vieira, and Bergkamp were our 3 world-class players, but the rest of the team were very, very, very good players. You know, so
World Cup winners in there as well. Come
exactly,
on,
that's what I'm saying. Us going into the realms of we can't buy him because he's a championship player. Where have our standards gone? Our standards, as much as we like it, have gone to the position where we, not me particularly, and I don't know about yourself, but a lot of Arsenal fans hounded out Wenger, who kept us in top 4 year after year. We wanted change. We haven't got the change because all we've done is actually gone declining. But now, in fairness, in the situation where the market has changed, the other teams around us have changed, we haven't changed because of that. And also, we've got an owner who doesn't necessarily like to stick his money in his pockets, or his hands in his pockets, sorry. So, and people can reference that we spent over £500 million since Wenger left. I agree with that completely. But listen, they weren't well spent. They ain't necessarily been the most well spent money. You're spending £72 million on Nicola Pepe. That could have been spent on 2 different players who, if you'd have actually looked deep into it and actually looked better into it, could have got you, where we are now a lot quicker. Let's put it that way.
We could have got parties,
of course we could have. Yeah, of course we could have. So what I'll do is, listen, we can talk about the attacking midfielder, but my option personally would be Buendia. I do love Odegaard, don't get me wrong, but I just have a feeling that he will go back to Real Madrid and there'll be a lot more. I wouldn't even be surprised if we were to sign, say, a Buendia and get Martin Odegaard back in on loan. That could be an option as well. As much as we all want Odegaard for a permanent transfer, I have a feeling his heart lies in Real Madrid, which is a shame.
Well, it depends on Zidane.
That's what I'm. Listen, if Zidane wins the Champions League this season, he can walk out with his head held high. He doesn't have to be sacked.
That's true.
But he doesn't want to stay there either, let's be fair.
But what about Smith Rowe? That's another option.
And that's the thing as well, is that if you had a front 3 behind, say, an Aubameyang, of 3 creative players, to be fair, I'm leaving out Saka now. That's the worst thing. I've just left out Saka in my head. But a Buendia, an Odegaard, and a Smith Rowe. Or say we don't sign Odegaard, but you put Saka, Buendia, Smith Rowe behind Aubameyang. Listen, if Aubameyang doesn't score 50 league goals in the season, then there's something wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, we'll just stick Martinelli in there instead.
There you go. Exactly. That's it. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up in very shortly, but we're going to put the striking option onto that list, and I've thrown in a bit of a curveball. You can have a look at the curveball I've thrown in there. I've gone for 6 players that we can look at. I haven't put Ivan Toney in there, to be honest with you. And I probably should have. I actually probably should have. That's a very good point. I didn't put Toney in for some reason. But I've put in Patson Daka from Salzburg, Odsonne Edouard from Celtic, who seems to be pretty much done for Leicester, but we can still talk about him. Donyell Malen from PSV, who, for everybody knows, we had him at Arsenal and let him go as a youngster. Andre Silva, who's currently at Frankfurt. Danny Ings, obviously Premier League player from Southampton, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton. So let's be fair. Let's look at the main ones in terms of goals. Patson Daka leads the way in a big way as well by the amount of goals. He's got 23 goals. Andre Silva has 1 less than him in the league. Assists, Donyell Malen leads the assists with 6. Man of the Match awards, Malen also leads that with 5. Passing, Malen, I don't know what it is. Malen, I'm looking at these stats thinking he looks more like a number 10, or at least a player who plays maybe like an inverted winger, maybe not an out-and-out striker. Yeah, exactly, because he's got a high touch rate in terms of the amount of passes he makes per game. If you look at the likes of, Ings, Calvert-Lewin, everybody actually, apart from Malen and Edouard, averages less than 25 passes a game. Completion rate, Edouard has the most with 81%. Final third entries, obviously, whether or not it's assist making or, again, passing it out to the wings. 17 for Edouard. Interestingly enough, Daka and Donyell Malen averages just over 14.5 passes per game. I'm not going to look too much on the defensive side of things. In fairness, to be fair, the Jules one we already know about Calvert-Lewin because he's a monster, but He averages 14.3 joules per game and wins six of them every game. So, in terms of attacking wise and decisiveness, Hudson Daka wins the way in terms of shots per game, on target per game, and also decisive goals alongside Malin in terms of 6 decisive goals per game. And obviously, all of them, well, Malin and Edouard and Daka average just over 8.5 box position, so they get into the box in per 90 just over 8.5 times per game. So, your thoughts on the options for a striker and who you'd go for, basically?
I mean, the stats just pretty much say Daka and Edouard just seem to be the obvious choice. I mean, Marlon, on the other hand, I mean, I would take him back if we don't have Odegaard. If we can't get our hands on Ben Diop, I'd more look into that, to be honest. I mean, he can kind of drop into a number 10 role and then kind of rotate with the striker, whoever's playing up top. If that is the case, like, I think do you know what? It sounds a little crazy. I think he'd work well with Lacazette, you know? Do you know how Lacazette likes to drop back in the midfield?
Yeah.
Them two can kind of just rotate throughout the game. If we weren't playing without, you know, the guys I mentioned as well as ESR and that. But if I had to pick someone, I mean, Daka just looks insane.
And he's from what I've seen of him, he's a very quick striker as well, which is something that we're not getting too often.
We do have good pace up top, but do we need extra pace? I mean, Aubameyang is getting on, so his pace is going to naturally start to decline.
Yeah,
we've got Martinelli. Whether Balogun decides to stay, that's still questionable right now. The wingers, Saka, Saka's not that quick, but he's got a little bit of burst on him. Do you know what I mean? So
I was going to say he's got a 5-6 yard burst of pace. Is rapid.
Yeah, he's not rapid. I mean, but the thing is, for me, I'm looking for someone that can hold up the ball, go in for headers, you know, just like a quicker Giroud type player. Because that's the one thing I liked about Giroud when we had him. And I know it hurts because Giroud, because it's
everybody hounded him out as a donkey, and this guy couldn't play. And look what he's won since he's left.
And this is the thing. It's like I just felt with Giroud. Oh God, I actually did not want him to go. I thought
me neither.
We had Aubameyang, Giroud, and then Lacazette competing. And I was just like, so why did we get Lacazette? To me, it just didn't make no sense. And they bring up Aubameyang uses a Sanchez. But look, we can talk about that another time. So I wanted someone. So I want someone like a target man-esque, but has a bit of pace in them, because I'm missing guys going for headers, and especially what annoys me is when we're putting in crosses. We've seen it this season. Crosses going into the box. No one's getting on the end of him. I mean, Lacazette, look how short he is. How you putting crosses in for him? It's like when Chelsea were doing it, and all they had was bloody Kante get into the end of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's embarrassing.
Lacazette, Aubameyang, don't go for headers.
I think he scored 3 headers for Arsenal.
I don't remember.
I don't even think he scored. I think he's got maybe even only 4 or 5 in his whole career headers.
Well then, this is it.
But this is my. You know what my thought.
Headers at Arsenal.
Yeah, and you know my whole thought process behind not individual positions where I'm saying, like, look, everyone saw we needed a winger. You know, we bought Pepe in and said, look, the other guy, we're just going to give you the ball and let you do what you need to do. Yes, I'm for it, but it's not how football works. You need the rest of the players around him, the rest of the team around him to help. So like I was saying about having somebody like Emerson Royal who puts in 5 crosses per game, or even a Tariq Lamptey. The reason I wouldn't go for Lamptey is just because of his height. I think Emerson Royal is a mixture between Lamptey and, I want to say, a Chambers in terms of the height and also the pace and the ability to get in the box. But having somebody like Emerson Royal, who can play in that right back position, allow somebody like Saka or Pepe to move inside, to get into the box as well, and then put a ball into the box for somebody like Daka, who's I think is about 6'3" and quick and can head the ball. I mean, I might as well just be the manager. You know? But, you know, But yeah, so like, I know. And that's the thing is like just basically bringing in the differences of players. Saying, okay, cool. Look, we're going to bring in a striker, but who do we need to help him? Because if we're going to ask Bellerin to be crossing the boxes in, it's not going to happen. Cedric's a very good cross of the ball, but he's unfortunately not going to be the man I'm relying on to be my first choice right back. As much as I like Cedric, I think he's a very good player. He's not my player to be my first choice right back. Okay, cool. So now we need a right back who can cross the ball into the box. Brilliant. So we've got two positions there, what we know can help each other. What else do we need? Maybe somebody in an attacking midfield role who can help the ball get in behind the striker defenders onto an on-running striker who can run and score. Wicked. So now we need an attacking midfielder who, again, can allow the right back to move on, the attacking midfielder to go inside, or the right midfielder to go inside. And now you've got more options in the middle of the park. It's just that constant thought process of, okay, cool, look, we don't need just one position. We need one position, then we need another one to assist that one, and so forth. Obviously, we discussed, the goalkeeper situation. I'd be happy to sign Matt Ryan on a permanent. Obviously, Leno's the number one goalkeeper. I think in a few years' time, maybe the number one goalkeeper would need really looking at if we are then start challenging for a league position and the Champions League. But right now, I'm more than happy with Bertrand Leno in goal. I've got no qualms with him whatsoever. Obviously, the left back situation, I didn't touch on it, but like we said, Ryan Bertrand we've been linked with as a backup left back. Who knows? He might want to come back to London. He might want to assist and come in every now and then. As long as he knows he's not going to play every game, as long as he knows he's going to play cup games and maybe the odd Tuesday or Wednesday game when Tierney's rested. All that young left back that I mentioned at the start, the Hibernian left back Josh Doig, who, like I said, you'd think that Kieran Tierney knows a bit about him. So maybe that's a position as well that we could look at. But I think we've covered pretty much all the positions that we are looking at. How hopeful are you that we could sign all five of those? Obviously, we've got a lot of outgoings that need to be touched on, which I'm not going to go into too much because I'm conscious I'm running a little bit over time myself. I've got a bit of places to be. But, we've got a lot of outgoings that need to be happening in the summer, which could have possibly assist. Like obviously, we've mentioned Bellerin, Guendouzi, Torreira, Lacazette, probably the likes of El Neni, Nelson, Nketiah. If somebody comes in with a big offer for Aubameyang, it ain't going to happen. But if it does, then you've got to look at that. If we're not in the Champions League or we're not in the Europa League, do we go for that as well?
Besides, you've got to remember, even with that, Aubameyang, well, apparently, there's something in his contract that's stating if we don't get European football either this season or next, he's gonna go. He's gone. So,
which, you know what? Like I said to you earlier, I'm happy to have 11 very, very good players than one or two top class players that don't help the rest of the team. Listen, if we look at Liverpool of recent years, yeah, they've got outstanding players, but they've also got a very, very, very good first 11 that help the team non-stop. That's it. They haven't got anything else.
That's what they got. That's why.
But they've only got Jota this season. Like and this season he even himself got injured. So when he got injured himself, that's when they still crumbled. Whereas you look at Man City, and you said it earlier about rotating, we can't rotate. Man City screwed me up on my fantasy Premier League by dropping Stones, by dropping Cancelo, by dropping Gundogan, and by dropping Sterling, and they still beat whoever it was 2-0. No, Leicester in the Premier League.
Yeah, well.
So I think, quick question. How optimistic are you that we're actually going to get those 5-6 signings?
Not very. I think at best, knowing Arsenal will probably make about three changes. We'll probably keep 2 people who we really need to get rid of.
Yeah.
That's just what this club showed me. I know I should be more positive, but I can't be positive when I know this club is just holding on for too many things. They held on to players that could have went last season in the summer. Yeah, it might have left us a wee bit thin, but that's when you start promoting some of the youngsters and then you build around them. And then the summer that's coming up or the January just gone, you start going and getting other players that's experienced and can mold around them, So like I look at Aziz can be another option, with Partey, get Basuma. For me, he's number 1 on that list. I know we need a right back. I know we need a left back, but for me, Basuma is my top priority, 100%. Because that midfield is so weak, so vulnerable. Games are lost and decided in that midfield, you know? So that's how I'm looking at it. But yeah, probably about 3 signings I see Arsenal making. I don't know who the other two are going to be.
The thing is as well, like I said, the centre-back option is not that much of an option if we are going to use Saliba, who we've already got. We've got a £28 million player who we need to get the best out of, let's be honest. And we've got David Luiz on that list as well, who potentially signs a new contract. So that person, you can come off the list. I'm looking at the potential. For me, I agree with you that centre midfield is definitely one of the priorities. For me, like I said, if we have to put up with one more season of Granit Xhaka, I can just about bear it if we get the proper attacking midfield that we can build around and a proper right back that we can say, no more of this. If one goes forward, the other one doesn't. I want this case of if one goes forward, the other one can also go forward because Xhaka will sit back in the middle or Partey can sit back and we've still got defensive cover where we need it. I don't want a case of Tini goes forward to better and you have to sit back because we don't trust you enough. Just a quick one, like somebody saying to me about Kyle Walker and Cancelo. If you watch the way Kyle Walker plays at Man City, he comes inside as a third midfielder because Pep doesn't trust him enough to go forward and then to say, well, when you go forward, I don't trust you enough to be able to put the ball into the box on a sixpence. What I expect from you to drill the ball across, us lose it and us get counter-attacked. But when Cancelo plays, he goes, I expect you to find whoever you need to find. That's why I'm going to let both you and the other player go forward all the time. And that's what we need to finally get to, is where we have Tierney and our right back always going forward, but trust them enough that if they do lose the ball, they're going to get back as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So I think right back for me is probably one of the priorities. Central midfield, yes. Attacking midfield, 100%. The striker, if we're going to go with Aubameyang up through the middle, then I can go with one more season without us signing a striker. But if Lacazette leaves, then I have a sneaky feeling still that Balogun will sign a new contract. I don't know why. I just have this sneaky feeling. And look, and if that's the case and Lacazette leaves and you have a free striker of Aubameyang, Martinelli and Balogun, it's not the greatest 3 in the world, but you've still got a top-class striker who can still score goals, a young striker who you're so confident that are going to get you a few goals, and a third-choice striker who you're confident that can still get you a few goals, but we just need to see it.
And also, he can play out on the left as well. So
there you go.
Martinelli can be rotated, which is good because he can play left. We haven't tried him on. I don't think we tried him on the right. Actually, I don't think so.
No, I think he played a couple of times under Emery, but nothing really under Arteta.
On the right. I can't remember, but that's what I'm saying. So that's fine. But Lacazette and Nketiah, chopping bit. So you got to go. And listen, I know I've gone with Lacazette for the Europa League game, but that's clearly on the fact that Aubameyang hasn't does enough for me to warrant a slot.
Yeah.
But it's just down to our manager, who seems to has the big bollocks not to drop him. Oh wait, that's wrong. My bad. I didn't mean to say that. But
No, I know. But listen, we're going to leave it there. We're going to wrap things up. Where can everybody find you? Obviously on your YouTube channel and on your Twitter as well, and anything else you've got that you use.
Well, thanks for inviting me on, Chris. Always a pleasure.
You're very welcome, mate.
Definitely got to do this next time, man.
100%.
Guys, YouTube channel's there, Ryan Williams AFC. Check out my content. Let me know what you guys think. And Twitter, RJ Wills. You could just search me up, Ryan Williams AFC on Twitter also if you can't remember RJ Wills. And Instagram, same Ryan Williams AFC. But thanks again, Chris, man.
No. Appreciate it. Like I said, look, give him a follow. Follow his YouTube as well. Subscribe to the channel. Well, listen, you're getting to the road to, is it 150 or 200 subs now?
150.
So I'm on the road to 100. Listen, we're going to get there together, bro. Don't worry. Obviously, like again, myself, if you are brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Every time I upload a video, you'll be notified. Same as his as well. Hit the notification bell every time he uploads a video. You'll be notified. Follow both of us on Twitter. Mine's Mr. CJ Wright as well. And guys, until next time, listen, keep the faith. That's what I want to say. Just keep the faith. Maybe not with the players, the manager, or the board. Maybe just with the badge. Sod it. Just keep the faith with the badge. That's all we want. At the end of the day, we both love this football club, and we both want the football club to succeed no matter what happens. No matter who's here, and in 50 years' time, when we're both in Zimmer frames, we'll still be supporting the football club. Exactly. So Yeah, guys, until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Easter time off. And yeah, we'll see you both soon. Take care.